Here we are in the secret garden of survival. Those of you who see my presentations and read my book can recognize this location. This is just one shot from the side of my garden, and I'm just going to walk you down one of the terraces here in the secret garden of survival so you can see kind of the amount of diversity that we've got in here. It's hard to tell what we've got, but this is actually a muscadine grape right there. We've got a number of different weeds like spiny lettuce, and then as we go down the path, this is a currant, red currant. So that's a berry shrub bush. Back around here, I guess I should kind of just go down one side or the other here, but this is blackberry, and we'll get in closer on these blackberries. You can see these little guys will be berries. They're green right now. They were just pollinated, and in a couple of weeks they should be red and then black, and when they're ripe, and we will pick them, and we must have literally millions of these berries here, just loaded with them everywhere. So you can do a lot with blackberries aside from just making blackberry jam. You can make tinctures, preserves, wine, and with wine you can also make vinegar. So walking down here, to our left is mountain mint. Again, one of my favorites in terms of attracting pollinators. It's not in bloom yet, not in flower yet, but it will be shortly, and it's a great one to protect your plants like the blackberries once they are fruited, because it attracts predatory wasps. And you can see we've got actually some blackberries growing in the midst of our mountain mint. Everything here intermingles like it would normally do in nature. We've got all kinds of plants that are part of this whole ecosystem, that ultimately it all works better together than it does by themselves. And don't do any single monocrop planting here. Just take you to the other side. We've got raspberry plants here, and then actually down below, if you can see the red, we've got some wild strawberry. On the ground is a running ground cover. The interesting thing about this entire secret garden of survival is this was all essentially barren red clay 4 years ago, and all the growth that you see here, all the trees and everything else and bushes are only 4 years old. So this is actually a scuppernong grape, and that produces a white sweet grape indigenous to this Appalachian area. I've got blueberries in cages, and you can see we've got some blueberries that are just about ripe. They will be in a week or so, and I'll be ready to start picking blueberries. And essentially we're in strawberry season right now. I go through and pick strawberries as they are ripe, as they find them, and then we just keep picking whatever happens to be ripe at the time. And fortunately, we've got things that are ripe at different times of the year, because if everything was ripe all at the same time, there would be no way I could manage to pick everything and keep up with it. If you can see, maybe we can get in close in here, you can see some baby grapes here on these scuppernong grapes, and some more blackberries. And we go right down this terrace here. So we've got herbs, berry bushes, fruit trees. That tree right there is a fig tree, and then up above that we've got that is a nectarine right there. If I just kind of go over here to this other terrace and other berm, we've got an apple tree, we've got a nectarine right there, and then right here is a peach tree, and we are just completely immersed here in the secret garden of survival. Just completely surrounded, and we've got a lot of different types of ground cover here, from grasses, we've got oats, wheat, and just some regular orchard grass. And we also have a lot of dandelions. Those yellow flowers are all dandelions. You can eat dandelions, you can use the roots, you can eat the plants themselves, you can use them in a salad. You can eat the flowers, you can make a dandelion wine out of the flowers, but for the garden, the sake of the garden, they're a great nitrogen fixer. They hold the soil in place, and they add nitrogen back to the soil for the rest of the plants and make what would be otherwise basically bad soil into good soil, and they are my natural fertilizer, among other plants that we have in here, like mustard and clover and several other different types of nitrogen fixers. Now we're coming up on a blueberry again. These guys are just starting to get ripe. I'd say in a week we'll be picking blueberries, and it is Memorial Day today. And we've got grapes growing right behind it, and this is a fig tree with grapes on it. Moving closer, you can see those are fig leaves. They're just starting to come out. We had a late frost here and burned a lot of the tips of the figs, so it was kind of late getting started, but we should have plenty of figs once we get going here. I've got rosemary planted really everywhere in the garden. It is a great herb to have just on its own, but it's also a great deterrent for deer because they don't like the smell of it. This is mulberry. So this is a mulberry bush that you've heard about the children's song, and they produce big, almost blackberry-like fruit, but just actually bigger fruit. And up above that, we've just got just a huge amount of blackberries and grapes all intermingled and growing together. And I do have grapes on trellises here in the center. I wanted to make sure I had tried everything, and it's been a great comparison because these are muscadine grapes here, but I've also got grapes growing on my apple trees. I will show those to you in a moment. Interestingly enough, the grapes that grow on my apple trees outproduce the grapes on the trellises by about 7 to 1. And that's because in nature there are no trellises. Grapes naturally grow on trees. They actually prefer to grow on trees and like the mottled sun as opposed to direct sun. The reason man grows grapes on trees, on trellises, is just easier for him to pick and go down the line. So again, nature knows what it's doing. It does it better. This is right here is a nectarine, and then this right here is a high bush cranberry. So we actually have cranberries here too. That's a dog that protects the garden, and this is an example of a grape on an apple tree. That is an apple tree right there, and it is surrounded with, enveloped with grapes. And those are actually Concord grapes, and look closely, you can see we've got a lot of little baby grapes on that thing. So that is just one quick look at the secret garden of survival. And you can see that it's a little difficult to tell that it does not look like it's been cultivated by any means, but from a distance you can't tell anything's down here. If you remember when we first started this little journey down the pathway, it just looks like overgrown underbrush, but it is full of food, full of fruit, and just a huge bountiful harvest when we start harvesting our fruit, berries, vegetables, and herbs.